I want to go across now to people who've been involved in actually looking at how the center manages its finances. Subhash Chandra Garg, this is a clearly political issue. Now, it's also an emotive issue because when you tell someone in Karnataka or Kerala, you show them this data, it looks unfair that you're contributing more. It goes to states like UP and Bihar. Now, obviously, in the larger national picture, there is an argument that you take from the rich, you give to the poor. But outside Bangalore, outside Hyderabad, there's enough poverty. They'll say this is unfair. And now the opposition, which is looking for some issues, trying to capitalize on this. What do you make of this demand? How do you explain the logic of the formula? And how do you think this is likely to play out? Subhash Garg.
So Rahul, there are three kinds of resources which the central government...
Okay, I don't like the audio connection. Give us a moment. We'll try and fix that. Let me in the meanwhile go across to Shankar here. Shankar, you know, we're seeing how these South Indian states, started with Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu next, they're making this issue. In the South, there is traction. I can see the responses. People feel, yes, these guys have a point. In the larger national picture, it makes perfect sense. You take from the richer states, you give to the poor. But there is poverty across Karnataka, across Telangana, which is not incorporated. But any formula is contentious, and the Finance Commission is a highly complex exercise. You say, my tax, my right. You try and simplify what is a very, very complicated exercise. What are you making of the politics?
Well, it's clearly politics, but there is a nub that is there, which is states which have done well have reason to feel aggrieved because the formulation is located still in the 70s and 80s. There has been some improvement in the last Finance Commission where they created some relief for demographic performance. But if you look at the equity picture, what is the story here? Does the Finance Commission's weightages creates incentives and disincentives? Does it create incentives for states or disincentives for states on the basis of the performance? When you look at the GST revenue, what does it reflect? It reflects a state that is growing, that creates jobs, that creates incomes, that creates consumption, that consumption translates into taxes. Now, this aspect is what militates most of the people in the southern states, because when you see what you showed, very well illustrated graphic at the beginning of the program, that shows the reason for the anger. And that anger, again, Rahul, is reflected across the districts, not just in Bangalore. The poorer people in Gulbarga or in other districts will feel that why is our money going there? And that is a normal thing. This happens in families, it happens in corporates, it happens in institutions. The point is that the Congress actually scores the self-goal first before it scores a goal. So this, whoever was the person who said about the secession has done a huge disservice to the cause. Now, this issue about devolution should be debated. They could argue it in many ways. I think that the new Finance Commission under Arvind Panagaria should look at the weightages. It should create an incentive for states which create more jobs and better incomes. It should create an incentive for improvement in equity, improvement in income. It is not enough to say that our state has a lower per capita income. I mean, if people start comparing the per capita income, I mean, if Bihar were to present the per capita income of Shevhar, which is under 20,000 rupees, as the basis for the transfer of funds, and Nitish Kumar, as recently as in November or December, asked for a special category state status. So this is going to play out. Every 5 years this happens. And this happens because there is a built-in inequity in the weightages, the way they are created. I think a better way would be to first take the, say, aspirational districts, create a separate grant for them, create a separate incentive process for states who do better in terms of per capita income growth. They should create a special status for states who deal with climate change again. I think the problem is that the Congress party is incapable of putting an argument with any reasonable clarity.
Okay, let Bhavya Narasimha Murthy respond to this.
Yes.
Bhavya, now here's the argument that Tejasvi made. Shankar's also making the same thing, that you have to go to the Finance Commission. This is a very complicated exercise, not an emotional exercise. Of course, there is some logic to what can be argued. You can argue at the right forum rather than coming out and arguing on the streets, because you're getting people charged up without them being fully able to comprehend the financial logic behind the decision.
Okay. So I would like to first remind Tejasvi Surya that it was Karnataka people who has voted him and sent him to parliament to represent them. His love for his party has totally, made him blind towards the people of Karnataka. I would like to counter all the 5 arguments that Tejasvi just. First point, yes, Finance Commission is a constitutional body. It's an independent body. But then the same Finance Commission observed how Karnataka, there was injustice towards Karnataka because they reduced the percentage from 14 Finance Commission to 15 Finance Commission from 4.7 to 3.6, through which Karnataka incurred a loss of 62,000 crores. So the Finance Commission suggested that we get a special grant of 5,490 crores. So when they themselves have suggested this, why doesn't the government agree with this and give us the special grant that the Finance Commission suggested? Yes, they can't intervene in the percentage, the change in percentage and all that is fine. But when the Finance Commission has suggested we should be getting this much, 5,490 crores every year, why haven't they given us that? One. Second, he was talking about the drought and the flood relief. In 2019, BJP government in Karnataka under Mr. Yadurappa himself went and asked for some relief for the floods that occurred back then. We never got any relief back then. And now when the drought has happened, a cabinet committee appointed by them comes to Karnataka, they inspect. According to their report, we have incurred a crop loss of 35,000 crores. And they suggested that Karnataka deserves 17,000 crores from NDRF, which we haven't still got. Now let's talk about GST compensation that Tejasvi Surya said. Yes, it was only meant for 5 years. We totally agree. But the reason GST compensation was given was because after the GST implementation, the rise in our tax collection reduced from 15% to 9%. Even today, our tax collection is 9%. That compensation was given to the states to cover up the loss that the states occurred, right? But it doesn't mean we have, they stopped giving us the compensation in the month of June of 2022. But after that, we requested them for the compensation because our tax increase, the percentage tax increase is still at 9%.
Okay, so let me go across to Subhash Chandra Garg. Mr. Garg, looked at particularly from the lens of Karnataka or Kerala or Tamil Nadu, there will be an argument that's being made. Zoom out, look at the national picture. States like UP, Bihar need support, which somebody in Gulbarga or Mandya will never fully appreciate or understand or accept. Now, this is a very tricky situation. How do you see the finances and the politics play out from here?
See, Rahul, Finance Commission has a built-in bias in favor of the poor states. Our system of allocation of central taxes from center to the states and then distributing it between the states is designed to favor first number of to the states as such. You get more share from the center to the states for all of them together. And thereafter, for the states, amongst the states, you take it to the poorer, because the basis of...
No, but how do you then respond to the argument that Karnataka is not equally rich? A city like Bangalore skews Karnataka's matrix, makes Karnataka look rich, where there are so many backward districts in Karnataka which kind of get pulled up wrongly because of Karnataka's income.
No, that argument is not really valid, because Bangalore's income is available for the Karnataka as a whole. So even if you have some poorer districts, the higher income from another district is available to the state for the state's work. So that argument.
Now, how is the income available? If people are paying taxes, the money goes to the center. It's not available to the state if they want to spend it in a poorer district.
States also get taxes. No, CGST comes to the state. That is the income of the state. So states' taxes are available to the state's income.
No, but they're talking about central taxes. Yeah, they're talking about how the central pie is divided. They're not thinking about state taxes right now.
That is what I was explaining. Central taxes. Since our constitutional system is that the center collects more taxes than what it needs, and the states collect less taxes than what they need together. The most progressive taxes like the income tax and the GST is with the central government, most of them, and therefore this whole system was designed. And population, the poverty, those define the needs of the state. So in principle, there is no real argument to say that the constitutional system should work more in favor of, or should...
It cannot, because this is not just the constitutional system. This is the basis of economic decision making, where you take from the rich and you give to the poor. And the fact is, you tax the rich to fund the economic development of the poor. That is at the nub of all economic decision making.
Let me explain because there is another aspect, which is where perhaps the Karnataka has an argument. There are two kinds of changes which the central government has made in last couple of years, practically in last 10 years, after the 14th Finance Commission had made a recommendation to transfer 42% of the share of central taxes to the state. Number one, the central government, in a way, sort of reworked that formula by keeping the petroleum taxes, the tax on the petroleum products, in the form of cess and surcharges, and also increase the surcharges on the income tax, which is not distributed. So effectively, the central taxes, which should have gone to the extent of 42%, today are only going up to the extent of 32%.
Okay, that's a very important point you've just made.